Hi everyone, finally going to be doing that review on the ModelCo BeautyFix Airbrush Face Setting Spray. So I've been using this for a good, well actually just under a month now, because I really wanted to put it through its paces. So basically try it with all different types of foundations, liquid, mousse, powder, mineral powders, with blushes, cream blushes, bronzers, etc. So you get the idea, as well as in different environments, because it's actually been fairly wet the start of winter in Australia. So I've sort of been able to test it on days where I'm actually running in between the rain, as well as walking into really hot, humid, air-conditioned environments. Fortunately, I haven't been able to test it in summer. Now, testing this in an Australian summer would be a really good thing, but I'll just have to wait until next year. But I will be doing a quick comparison to something like setting sprays or mists, actually, something like MAC Fix Plus. I was really hoping to have Model in a Bottle, the original one, to compare this to, but the orders sort of fell behind, so I probably won't be getting that for another week or so. But what I'll do, I'll try that for a good 3 to 4 weeks, then I'll just do a separate review on that one and maybe compare it to these sorts of products. But overall, does it actually work? Now, days where I was using primers, I used my Red Earth mattifying primer. I also used my ID Bare Minerals Prime Time. I tried it on days where I wasn't using primer, and also days where I would use a setting powder and then spray this over or not. I found generally it did actually hold my makeup. So I'll actually just go through quickly the actual product first. So this one you get 50 grams, or about 58, just over 58 mils. It's a pressurized dispenser, so basically it's similar to a hairspray. You shake it up, hold it away from your face and press down. Similar to an airbrush sort of effect that you get there. Now this one, when I first got this, I got this from Adore Beauty. Again, you can get it from other places. I think Model in a Bottle, for those in Australia, you can get it at Select My stores. I've seen the brand at Priceline. I haven't seen this particular thing at my local ones, but that might be just something with the local stockers they've got here. But I have seen it in gloss stores, this particular product. Now I paid mid $30 odd for this one, so it is fairly pricey, so I did have high expectations. I have tried using hairspray on my face because I've seen people mention it. I thought that's a little bit bizarre. I did try it just so I could sort of do a comparison, but I found that it was pretty sticky and uncomfortable, and I didn't really like it, so I only tried that a couple of times, and this gives us a slightly different effect. I find when you spray it on, really press down hard, spray it on, sort of sets about 20 to 30 seconds. Sometimes it would take 10 seconds, just depending on how much I was putting on. I sort of fan it dry, wasn't sticky. You do get a slight tightening effect, particularly around the cheeks, of course your larger surface area, so slightly feel it tightening along here. It's not an unpleasant sort of effect. Some people may not like that though, but really you don't notice it after a couple of minutes. Obviously, as you're going about your day, you don't really notice that you've got it on. I don't have sort of sensitive skin, so I can't really quote what it would be like for people, because there is fairly different chemicals in here. It's mainly water, alcohol, butane, and some other sort of products, or glycol. I can't pronounce, but I don't really know the actual effects on sensitive skin. Mine is a combination to oily skin, mainly around the T-zone, obviously oily, but I found it really didn't sort of affect my skin. I didn't have any breakouts, didn't have any adverse sort of reactions to it, and really I was happy to actually see my makeup wasn't smudging during the day. Now I'm sort of working a full-time and a temp job at the moment, so I really needed something to set my makeup, particularly on days where I was sort of wearing blush because I wanted to sort of go out after work. Now, normally I get it wearing off along here, even on days where I'm using my primer. I've used a setting powder. I've used something like MAC Fix Plus. Again, this is mainly water, glycerin, and extracts like cucumber. I did find that halfway through the day, even though it's a nice refreshing spray, my makeup would still wear away along my cheeks, so particularly if I'm on the phone. For some reason, I'm wiping my hands or the phone on my face, and I might get an uneven application of blush on one side, but I found this really actually held it, and I didn't really feel it. It actually gives a nice smooth effect to the skin. If you after you spray it on, after a minute or so, you just feel your face. It's a really nice smooth sort of effect that it leaves, or finish that it leaves, and it is fairly lightweight. But yeah, I did really find that even on days when I'm running in between buildings where it's raining, going into humid air conditioning environments, I didn't sort of see it coming off if I was sweating or if I got a little bit of rain on it. Of course, if you're going to get in a torrential downpour, it's going to come off anyway. This isn't like glue or anything like that. And it was really easy to remove at night. I just used my general cleansers or my makeup wipes, whatever I was using during the day. Makeup still came off the same. So I didn't have to scrub anything any different. And also there were days that I wanted to sort of see, because I know people probably do that, days where I might have worked all day, I worked maybe 14 hours, I've been away from home, I want to go out, I might want to redo my makeup or maybe try a different blush on, like a more dramatic look or glam up for the night. I found there was sort of no adverse effects, or it wasn't hard to sort of reapply my makeup or touch it up as well during the evening, having set this in the morning. So overall it does seem to work for me, of course. Again, like I said, I've got combination to oily skin, I'm not sort of sensitive, and I did try it over my different brands of mousse foundations, liquid foundations, etc., and it seemed to work really well. Again, though, I said it's fairly pricey, so you could probably pick this up a little bit cheap if you shop around online. I think, like I said, $30 odd I paid for this. But where I'm paying practically the same for something like this, or was it 27, something like that, I think this did work a little bit better. Of course, I can't test it in Australian summer or in summer. I do love using this during summer because it's so refreshing. I will still keep this on hand again, just as a nice sort of touch me up during the day, because it's always a nice sort of oomph to the face. But this really does sort of set it in. But I will be doing that review on Model in a Bottle in probably the next month, and sort of compare it. I will actually be looking forward to it because I believe it's an atomizer or sort of spray or dispense. I'm not quite sure, so don't quote me. But this one I did find a little bit sort of temperamental, which I probably would call in the sort of negative side. What I mean by that is, even though the days I would really shake it up, if I wasn't pressing down really hard, and sometimes it still did it even when I was pressing down really hard, it did spit and spurt, which would not give you a nice airbrush sort of look. You'd actually get little globs of the product sort of over your face, or uneven ones, and then of course you got to try and pat it sort of there, so you might end up with sort of the patchy effect where it's sort of covered unevenly on there, and then of course you're going to have to spray again. Also with this, because of the way that it's design, it does sort of arc out, so it does recommend 30 centimeters away from your face. Holding it 30 centimeters away from your face, pressing down properly, you do get that nice airbrush sort of effect, but it will end up spraying your hair and some of your clothing. I didn't find it sticking to my clothing, I didn't find it staining my clothing, but again, because I'm paying so much for a product, I really just want it sort of where I can get it. But that's just the way that it is with face products. Of course, with eyeshadows and powders, you're going to lose some of the product anyway, but that's a little bit unfortunate with this. I do find with something like this, I can sort of really hone where I'm going to spray it because of that sort of little nozzle there. Because I mean, again, it is a mist rather than a spray, or a vaporized spray. That's what this is, and this is obviously just a, I think an atomizer is the word. It could be wrong. And again, when it's spitting and spurting, I couldn't quite apply it properly. Like I said, I'd have to do another coat. Something like this, though, of course, when you spray it, you can also use something like a stippling brush or something like that to sort of pat it on if you so wish to, or just let it dry. Something like this, I did try it thinking, oh no, I'll use my stippling brush to sort of even it out, but I did find I was smudging my makeup around because, again, it's a setting spray. It was sort of sticking to the product a little bit, and I sort of wiped it around. I saw this because even though I was nicely patting it really gently with my stippling brush, when I looked at my white stippling brush end, I saw the makeup on the end, so it was actually picking up that makeup. So I really just recommend trying to get that nice airbrush effect. Also, if you're holding it closer than 30 centimeters, I mean, that's approximately 30 centimeters away, but if you want to try and be smart and hold it close to your face like that, thinking you're going to get a nice sort of intense sort of coating, you don't, mainly because it is pressurized. It will come out, and it will come out fairly cold, so cold it actually stings, and it really is unpleasant. So really hold it around about this way to sort of get that nice sort of effect like that. So I mean, that's basically my sort of thing. I mean, thumbs up for this. It does sort of do what it does. I mean, of course, again, I should really shop around to see if I can get it slightly cheaper. I will review it again against Model in a Bottle. Will I be repurchasing this? I'll see how I go with Model in a Bottle. It is really good, but it's something I might repurchase but not use every day. I only use it every day just to try and see it. I might use it as something like a special occasion if I'm working maybe 14 hours, if I'm doing a double shift, if I'm going out to a special event or something. It's definitely worth having something like this on hand. But for those other days, I might use something like this or just my setting powders. But I hopefully you enjoyed this. Any feedback on these products, or mainly this product that you've used, or even Model in a Bottle, please leave me some comments. Take care.